Hey guys, Bayosak here. Now, I'm not sure if you saw this video coming, of course, but I've had plenty of different weird experiences when it came to gaming on, the internet. And if you've ever played me, or not played me, played with me, or have been playing with me long enough, there's a chance I at least know some of the story to some extent, on PSN. Especially when I used to play GTA 5. Well, I still play GTA 5, but just not like I used to. But anyway, so, at one point, obviously, I started making a lot of, female oriented or based characters because at one point, I just grew really tired of just playing as a male character. But eventually, it over time just became kind of more fun to play as a female character, especially since you can kind of look at their backsides or whatever as you played as them in third person or something. That was sometimes I would say a good part of the reason why I would do it, but there was other reasons why. I just like I said, I got really bored of playing as a male protagonist, and it's not an excuse; it's a reason. I remember I actually told that to somebody one time, actually, as I was playing with them, and they're like, "Oh, so this is your excuse as playing as a female character?" I was like, "No, this is seriously the reason why." You know, and there are plenty of comments, coming my way, like I was trying to look for a guide, and that's the reason why I was playing as a female character, and it's just like, no, I'm just playing as a female character. Like, it doesn't really mean much, if anything. And it's not like you're doing anything illegal anyway. Plus, it's just a fucking video game. Why take it so damn seriously? You have your choice, male or female. And I just chose female. I mean, you could just do whatever. It's just a fucking game. Just because you're a guy doesn't mean that you have to play as a male character. You can play as a female character, or you can just play. If they give you the option in certain games, like you can play as an alien, you could play. I mean, just any choice that they give you. It's not illegal, to play as a female character. It really is not. But anyway, and of course, I'll get a bit of stigma from that, so at least on occasion. I, of course, eventually met other people that were either playing as female characters or were just, whatever about it. Obviously, they thought the same way. Just because you're playing as a female character doesn't mean anything negative. And, but of course, eventually, I started getting this idea to actually just to go undercover because I had at one point heard how just ridiculous it is to be as a female gamer playing video games. At one point, I remember this one because this one lady was also talking to me about it actually about how all these guys would just hit on her for some reason, even if they were nice to her, it's like she could tell that they're just doing it because she was a woman sometimes. And there are other times when, guys would sometimes get too comfortable over the mic and then they would say something really inappropriate to her that she didn't like, you know, as an approach, obviously. And, she told me several things. Like, she said that sometimes she just didn't really feel like playing video games sometimes, especially online games, because of just the way that she would get treated sometimes. And there are some times when, she wouldn't talk to them sometimes, and the guys would call her a whore or a bitch, just because she didn't care to talk to them. Not that she didn't have anything against them sometimes, but she just, she didn't know them. She didn't really want to talk to them. And so I thought to myself one day, I thought, I've been, because I also looked up some of this stuff on the internet, from other women. I was just thinking, like, you know what? I'm hearing all this stuff and I just kind of wanted to see the experience for myself because, being a male, being a guy, I really was not getting that kind of experience. It's not like a bunch of women were hitting on me over the internet, in my parties and everything. So I kind of started posing from time to time as a female gamer, right? And oh my god, all these guys. I remember at one point, like, just being as a female character on GTA 5, especially, like, all these guys were just fucking hitting on me. And don't get me wrong, my girl, my player girl, if you've ever seen her, she's very pretty, very well dressed. And sometimes, some weeks, on a daily basis, these guys would just hit on me, or they would approach me, be like, hey, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. And they would make party chats and, try to invite me and all that shit. And so at one point, what I was doing, instead of telling them I was a guy, at least up front, is that for a short period of time, I would actually just, have no mic on. I would just go into their parties, be like, hey, I don't have a mic. I wouldn't even say anything like, oh, I'm a guy at first. I wouldn't even say I was a female. I would just say nothing about my gender. And I would just see how the men in the parties would react to me. You know what I mean? And it's just so funny because, lots of times as a male, you know, over video games, I really had to prove myself to, like, just get help from other people over the internet. But as a female, I would just get help at the drop of a hat from these guys on these video games, right? When I would first meet them, I wouldn't have to prove myself or anything. All I would have to do is join their parties and, tell them, hey, I don't have a mic. And then suddenly it's like they were very nice to me. They would, sometimes say overly nice things to me, and they would help me out quite a bit. They'd be like, oh, and you need this and blah, blah. And they would say it sometimes in an overly nice way. It's like, hey, here, you need this. Here, you could have this expensive item that usually costs a lot. And I swear, like, sometimes, like, they wouldn't know it for a whole day. It's like, okay, I gotta tell them eventually. And so the next day, I would join their parties sometimes, and then I would turn on the mic. I'd be like, hey, I got a mic now. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. I put on the mic, right? And I just like, hey. And they'd be like, what? I thought you were a lady. It's like, no, I never said I was a lady. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, I thought you guys were just being nice to me. I mean, okay. And one of the times I did that, they just kicked me out of the party, actually. They got really pissed off at me. They got really upset, and they just kicked me out of the party one time. And again, I never necessarily said I was a man or a woman to them. They just assumed that I was a woman just because I was a female character. And like I said, it's just so funny. I remember that one video I made a while ago called 50 Shades of Gay. And, just me effing around. At one point, what I also did sometimes was I was just thinking, like, what if I actually, like, hit on these guys? You know what I mean? What if I actually hit on them? Would they actually, react to me back and actually start hitting on me back and everything? So I just, thought of, of course, the gayest shit that I can think of. And, obviously a lot of the heterosexual males, of course, were into that. When I was saying this, really dirty stuff to them as a female character. And it was actually really fun. And as I went on doing this, I came up with even dirtier and dirtier and more creative stuff. Just anything I can think of. Just like, oh, I like to be dominated and stuff like that. And even just really gay shit like, I would like to have some of your hot man chili or something like that. Just anything that I could come up with. And I would say shit like that to them, and they'd be like, "Whoa, wow!" It's like, "Wow, you really need a good dicking, don't you?" It's like, "Yes, I need a good dicking." Or something, just anything. Man, it's just hilarious looking back. But at times when I wasn't doing that, I would still just get hit on. I remember more than several times, guys would approach me and be like, "Hey, we could have beautiful children together," and just shit like that. Eventually, it got annoying to the point where I literally just had to put on my profile description that I was a guy, and it was actually in the middle of a quote that I put, of course, on my profile. And in the middle of it, it just states, "Oh, also I'm a guy," so that the next time a guy would try to send me a message, be like, "Hey, who are you?" or "What's your name?" Whatever line they come up with, that they would see that I was a guy in my description if they read my description. Of course, that didn't really fit, stop some guys from time to time thinking that I was a female. I remember one time this one guy was really mean to me and said that I was a really fat bitch or something. And I was just like, "Man, I'm a guy. Look at my description. I'm a guy." It's it's like you're trying to act like a boss to me, and the whole time I'm a guy. He's like, "Oh no, you're a woman." It's like, "No, seriously, I'm a guy. You could join my party with me and my friends here. I'm a guy." He's like, "Why are you posing as a fucking lady, man? That's fucking sick." And I was like, "Oh, that's not what it is. Jesus fucking Christ." You know, for some people, I swear, it's just everything about them. They just only think about sex. This and that, sex and that. They just have one track mind, when it comes to sex. And don't get me wrong, I like to say dirty things. I like to do this and that. I have a love doll. But, I don't only think about sex. You know, there's more to life than just getting laid or getting sex. I mean, I just am a very laid back person. So I don't know if you're going to understand that, but But anyway, so I would say in a nutshell, that is my experience as a female gamer, is that as a female gamer, the video game world just becomes a much more inappropriate and oversexed world. Just by being a female character, even. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, you have to try it to see the experience and believe it. Because, I mean, I could at least see why not as many women do online video gaming is because of just bullshit like this. It's just so inappropriate, you know, for these guys to be doing this to women like this. I mean, just because you feel more comfortable, over the mic doesn't make it okay to be tweeting, treating women like this. It's just not. I don't believe in right or wrong very often, but this really just is not right. I mean, it's one thing if you and some women are just having fun and goofing around, hitting on each other. That's just whatever. But you know, if that is seriously your first approach to gamer women and gamer girls, you are never ever going to find hardly any gamer girls to play with. And I think this is part of the reason why some of these guys will, watch these women on Twitter sometimes and just watch them, because I just don't think that some of these guys are really. I think that some of them are maybe too afraid to actually approach a woman sometimes. And I think it's because they just really do not know how to react around women sometimes. And again, sometimes they get a little, carried away with the mic. They get a little bit too comfortable. And I would say I'd say that's about the most I would have to say. Is about 15 minutes now. So I guess I'll end the video here. But if you have any more questions about this or anything in general, you can put them down. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.